All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Thursday, February 8th. We got a decent-sized NBA slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. We're going to go through each and every one of these games. I'm going to give you my lean on the spread. I'll give you my lean on the total. We'll talk about the game. I'll give you my lean on any other player props that I like within the game. But as always, my final play, so I'm actually rolling with myself, those plays will be in the pinned comment if you do want to fade me and do the opposite of those picks. So make sure to keep an eye on that pinned comment. In terms of last night, definitely not a fadeable night, a pretty green night all around. RJ Barrett, we crushed on him, and a lot of people have been asking me, why do you split a unit, aka one betting standard size, on like 3 different plays for a player prop? And it's just kind of to use financial terms, I guess, diversify my portfolio. So RJ Barrett, we had his points and assists, which was probably my favorite play last night. We also took his PRA, and then we took his rebounds plus assists. Say RJ Barrett doesn't score well, but he has a bunch of rebounds and assists. At least we still kind of capitalize or, mitigate the risk with RJ Barrett. So that's why I've been doing that plenty here, where we take one player prop and kind of cut it up in different ways. But nonetheless, RJ Barrett comes through for us. Our 2 unders, the Hawks and Celtics, that did not look like it was going to cash. It ends up cashing. And then the Warriors and Sixers, that one got kind of close, but mostly a no sweat play there, as the Warriors led by a bunch the entire game. Our only 2 losses, Max Strus, over 1.5 3-pointers made. I think I'm done betting Max Strus. It's like no matter how we bet him, he loses, right? So I just have like the jinx for Strus. And then Brandon Ingram over 19.5 points. That was only a half unit loss, so not the biggest deal, but I'm kind of annoyed because right before that game, or I want to say like an hour before that game, I was like, all right, I either want to pull the trigger on the Clippers and Pelicans under or Brandon Ingram over 19.5 points. Went back and forth, decided on throwing a half unit on Brandon Ingram. He finishes with 15 points. But the under cashes. But you know what? Profitable day. We can't cry over that. And yeah, I mean, it's like woulda, coulda, shoulda, right? Like, yeah, I should have played the under, but you know what? We pulled the trigger with Brandon Ingram. But nonetheless, guys, again, a profitable night. We're not going to cry over that. And the story gets even better. The ride of the day comes through from Eric here. James Harden over 12.5 rebounds plus assists. Eric, you said the dude's been killing it. And James Harden, I don't know if he killed it last night. He finished with 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Enough to cash it, but it made us sweat a hell of a lot there. Only 5 assists from Harden is obviously low, but nonetheless, the ride of the day still cashes. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, all you got to use is hashtag ride of the day in the comments. Give me some bangers in the comments. I'm jumping on board with one person's pick and giving you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Also giving you a shout out here over on Twitter. Make sure you guys follow me there. Follow me on all my socials. This will rotate throughout the show. But yeah, if you win, we continue to ride with you. So be looking forward to Eric's plays today as well. But guys, let's go ahead and jump into game number 1 here. We're looking at the Pacers taking on the Warriors. And I will say, before we even get into, I guess, any games today, trade deadline today, right? So make sure you're considering that when betting. Like, some guys might sit, hell, some guys might get traded. Like you gotta think about that. So make sure you're doing your due diligence, I guess, in terms of looking at any player props or even just teams that may be potentially trading someone away or receiving someone, that type of thing. So yeah, just kind of have your ears perked for that. But we got the Pacers taking on the Warriors. Pacers big favorites in this one, -7. Total sitting at 250.5. I can start with the total because it's not something I'm going to be playing personally, but I'm going to lean towards the over. The Warriors are the team that I would be concerned about kind of slowing this pace down. The Warriors are on a back-to-back. On back-to-backs this season, the Warriors have covered in 78% of games to the over. And the Pacers are going to want to run and gun, right? So I'm not probably not going to make that a final play. So telling you guys that now, but I really am not considering the under just based on what we've seen here. So I slightly lean towards the over, but it's going to be a slight lean. Now, in terms of a spread, yes, the Warriors are on a back-to-back, but Steph played 24 minutes. Clay, who maybe he gets traded, has only played 28 minutes. Kuminga played 29. Like, they got some rest last night. Wiggins, I think, played 22 or something. So this could be a spot in which we take the points with the Warriors and kind of sneak up on the Pacers. Tyrese Halliburton, Smith, and Mathurin all questionable here on the Pacers side of things as well. If Halliburton does not play, this is obviously a spot where I'd look at the Warriors. If he does play, maybe we just pass on the game altogether, because for whatever reason, that line is scaring me. Like, why is that coming in so aggressive, right? It opened up at 6.5 too, so it's moved up. But I'm sticking to my guns here. I'm going to lean towards the Warriors plus the points. In terms of a player prop, I don't mind looking at Pacers player Pascal Siakam. We know he's not going to get traded, right? He already did get traded to that team. He's over 21.5 points. He's hit this in 4 of his last 5 games. He's hit it in 3 straight, and he's only gone up 22, 25, 29. So you like to see that. But what I really do like is the fact that he's obviously a mid-range player, or he likes the mid-range here. And this is a Warriors team that struggles at defending the mid-range over their last 10 games. And throw in the fact that they really do struggle rim defending. If Pascal Siakam gets to the rim, I do think he scores. So I like this spot for him. The Warriors also a pretty tough, defense in a bad way. Like, they're not very good at defending the above the break three. Not saying Siakam is going to make a bunch of threes. He's only taking a couple of those per game. But when he does take threes, they are above the break 3. So if he hits a 3, even better for us. But give me Siakam over his points here in terms of what we're looking at from a player prop perspective in this game. Next, we got Orlando taking on the Spurs. Orlando, a whopping 11-point favorites here over San Antonio. Total sitting at 225.5. This is a weird one because, like, yes, I could totally see Orlando winning by, 15, 20 points because the Spurs are, that bad, and they are on a back-to-back. The Spurs covering just 37% of games on back-to-backs this season, so they have a lot working against them. They're on the road, kind of, the beginning of a road trip. Last night was their first game. But what's weird is that both these teams, their last game was against a mutual opponent here. San Antonio lost to Miami last night by 12 points, so almost covering this line, right? Orlando lost to Miami by, it was like 25. So it's like, what's going on there? I'm going to lean towards the Magic because I think it's the safer play based on what I said about San Antonio not covering on back-to-backs and being on the road, and the fact that the books come in with this line, right? A very steep line. Now, I'm kind of almost fading what I'd said in the last game with the Pacers and the Warriors, because based on that logic, I'd be like, well, you got to look at the Pacers, right? But this is a spot in which the Warriors aren't on the other side of this game. Though the Warriors aren't the best team or aren't the Warriors of the past, they still are better than the Spurs. So I could see Orlando kind of in a get-right spot here. They had won 3 games before playing Miami and losing. And when they played San Antonio about a week ago, it was in San Antonio and they won by 10 points. So maybe being a little bit healthier, maybe being at home allows Orlando to be better. But yeah, it's a weird one here. Like if for whatever reason you're like, I'm hard-pressed to take the Spurs today, don't let me talk you off it for sure. In terms of a total, 225.5. Another kind of spot where I went back and forth on. Like, this is a really weird game. Maybe it's weird enough that we shouldn't like mess with it, or if you touch the stove, it's gonna be hot, right? But I like the under. I don't think that either one of these teams going to come in playing with crazy pace. The Spurs are playing with, obviously fast pace, but this is not a very efficient team. Orlando's a much more offensively efficient team, and I wouldn't even consider them like a crazy efficient team when it comes to on the offensive end, right? Like they're only shooting what I think they're the bottom 10%, bottom 10 team in the league in terms of field goal percentage is what I'm trying to say. So if they're going to carry the offensive weight in this game, I'm going to lean towards the under. Now, a player prop that I like, and it's just based on his recent trends here, is taking a peek at Paolo Banchero over 5.5 assists. He's hit this in 8 straight games. He's hit it in 9 of his last 10. Now, his maximum over that 10-game stretch has been 7. So he's not blowing this line away. He's not getting to double digits. I think he's only hit double digits like once or twice this entire season, but we don't need double digits, right? We need 6 assists, and the catcher here and the kicker is this is plus money, plus 105 over on FanDuel. Caesars has it at minus 118. DraftKings, I think, has it at either minus 105 or plus 100, but plus 105 over on FanDuel is by far the best value that you're getting. So I don't really mind this spot for him. Again, I wouldn't be looking at this if it wasn't for plus money, to be completely honest. But the Spurs team allowing the 8th most assists to the power forward position over the last 7 games. I like the spot. They're finally healthy. He can kick it out to Franz, to Jalen. You know what I mean? These guys are looking to score, and we've kind of seen him uptick his minutes, uptick his potential assists, I should say. Can't talk this morning, but yeah, that's kind of all I'm looking at from a player prop perspective. But if you haven't been able to sense it in my voice, like I think this is like a really weird, messy-ish game, so maybe we stay away from it, because if it has my head in a pretzel, who knows what the product will be. All right, guys, before we get to the rest of the slate, I do want to talk to you about Sleeper. You guys have heard me talk about Sleeper before, and quite honestly, I don't think I'm going to stop, because this is one of my favorite DFS pick'em apps out there, and you guys know I don't want to push anything to you that I don't think you'll find value and have fun with, or, you know, benefit from. I think Sleeper is a really, really cool sports picks DFS pick'em app, and they have a free square for new users. Nikola Jokic here, 0.5 points tonight. The dude's pretty good, MVP winner. I could see him scoring 1 point tonight. Just put in a bucket there. So go and check it out, guys. If it's legal in your state and you're not on Sleeper, stop sleeping. Wake up. See what I did there? Go check it out. That link's going to be in the pinned comment. You'll get this square as well as a 100% deposit match. You could throw in $50. They'll give you $50 extra dollars. New account balance of 100. That's math for you. Go check it out. That link's in the pinned comment. Again, if it's legal in your state and you're not on Sleeper, it's time to check it out. It really is cool. What they do that's totally unique, and some other apps are coming along doing it now, is that they don't follow the fixed payout structure. Each and every pick that you throw into your slip has its own dynamic multiplier. You can win up to 100 times your money over on Sleeper. Kind of bonkers. So go check it out, guys. That Jokic square is pretty much free. Go check it out. That link in the pinned comment. Now let's go ahead and get back to today's games. Next, we got the Nets taking on the Cavs here. Nets at home, plus 5.5 points. Total sitting at 223.5. The Cavs are on the back-to-back here, and they played, you know, they went balls to the wall against the Wizards last night. No rest time for those starters. We have Mobley, who obviously coming back from injury, and Garland both playing 25 minutes. Then Garland, so Mobley played 25, Garland played 28 minutes. Mitchell played 37 minutes. Jared Allen played 37 minutes. So these guys played a lot of minutes. And then you have the Nets, who are coming off, they lost 2 nights ago to Dallas. The Nets have lost 2 in a row. They really haven't been as competitive as you might think, playing Golden State and Dallas, who are 2 teams that are, you know, not necessarily like the creme de la creme in the league right now. Whereas Cleveland, you know, though they're on a back-to-back, they're kind of coming in as one of the hottest teams in the league. They've won 9 of their last 10 games. They've only covered in 6 of their last 10, but nonetheless, I think you gotta lean Cleveland here. There's nothing about this game that makes me want to look at Brooklyn. Maybe you look at them and say, okay, well, they probably, you know, maybe get to the free throw line a little bit more than the Cavs, but the Cavs kind of decent at limiting free throws to their opponents, so it's kind of like a toss up here. And if that's the only kind of split thing that I'm really giving a sizable edge to Brooklyn, it's like, okay, well, every other part of this game we call basketball, Cleveland kind of gets. Fine, we're going to lean towards Cleveland, right? So I'll lay the 5.5 points. The thing that concerns me, Cleveland on back-to-backs this year, 33% cover rate. So 66% of their games, they are not covering. That ain't exactly what you want to see. And Brooklyn, with a rest advantage over their opponent, have covered in 75% of their games. So I'm still leaning Cleveland, but I want to give you guys the context, right? From a total perspective, 223.5. This obviously seems like a low number, but Cleveland has been staying under this line. They've cashed it in 3 of their last 4. I think it comes down to the fact that their defense has been good, and we've kind of talked about that on the videos lately, right? Last 5 games for Cleveland here, they're allowing the 5th lowest field goal percentage to their opponents and the 6th fewest points. They're about 8 points below league average, allowing just 107.8 per game. But that being said, this Brooklyn offense actually is scoring fairly well. They're not playing with necessarily this crazy pace, but you know, in terms of what they're doing, they're playing well. Like they're averaging the 5th most points over the last 5 games. So this is a tough one for me. I'm gonna say that this is a game that goes up and over. Cleveland is on the back-to-back. They've covered the over 57% of their games when on back-to-backs, and Brooklyn's not exactly the best transition defense right now over the last 10 games. Actually, just on the season, they're not a very good transition defense. Cleveland, though they don't run and gun all that much, they have the personnel personnel to do it, and they've been scoring really well in transition, over 55% field goal percentage when in transition. So if Cleveland gets off to the races and if they do want to score, I could see them putting up a decent amount of points here. So yeah, give me Cleveland as well as the over in this spot. In terms of player props, I did dig in this one to no real avail, though. Nothing really jumps off the page to me, especially with the back-to-back. And I can't really seem to feel like wanting to trust any spots for the Nets. Like, a lot of matchup is telling me look at some Ben Simmons over rebounds or over rebounds and assists, and then it's like, yeah, but is Ben Simmons going to get the workload? Is he going to play? I think he played like, what, 20 minutes last game. It's a little too low of volume for me to want to pull the trigger on. All right, we got the Knicks taking on Dallas. This is an interesting one here. Knicks at home here getting 4.5 points. Total sitting at 230.5. You look at the injury report in this one. New York's injury report is very long. Josh Hart probable. Anunoby out. Jalen Brunson questionable here. Julius Randle, as we know, out. And then on the Dallas side of things, you have Derek Lively out. Maxi Kleber is questionable. Kyrie Irving probable. Luka Doncic probable. So I'd say, you know, between Luka, Kyrie, and Jalen Brunson, it's kind of like, all right, let's wait this injury report out before we make a pick here. But nonetheless, I'm going to jump into this game and assume that these guys are playing just for the sake of the video. I like Dallas in this spot ever so slightly. If you're on the Knicks side, this is one of those games where I'm like, hey, you know what? Take it. I'm not trying to talk you off of it. This is a Dallas team, though, that has won the last 3 meetings between these two teams. They won last time they played, which is about a month ago there as well. So you know, we have that recent matchup history. Julius Randle played in that game too, so it's kind of like, okay, well, Julius played and they still won, and that was a game without Luka Doncic, if I'm not mistaken. So now it's like Luka in, Julius out. I gotta look at Dallas. The one thing I will say is that was in Dallas, so that is obviously worth noting. But Dallas on the road this year is covered in 62.5% of their games. Like, I'll give them credit there. So yeah, I'm not afraid of pulling the trigger, but both of their stars are listed as questionable. And in terms of, you know, the Knicks, well, actually they're listed as probable. In terms of the Knicks, you know, if Jalen Brunson doesn't get the go, then yeah, I mean, Dante DiVincenzo's been on absolute fire. But if it's DiVincenzo and company, like, I'll take Luka and Kyrie in the Mavs over them, right? Now the total sitting at 230.5. I like the over. I don't think that this is going to be the most up-tempo type of game, but I do think that if this game has any sort of catch of transition, we'll have some success here. The transition defense for the Dallas Mavericks, terrible. Transition defense for the Knicks, like, decent at best. Like, they're really good if they slow you down in the half court, but I don't necessarily see Dallas being like, all right, yeah, let's slow this game down. Like, they're fine with running and gunning, and I think that they're looking for a spot to be able to do that. And coming into the Knicks game, you must think that the coach and company is like, all right, how do we beat this Knicks? That we're not going to be able to, you know, trump them by slowing it down and beating them in the half court. We need to run on these guys. So if Dallas is coming in with that mindset and the Knicks try and match that pace, the Knicks should be able to score in transition. So should Dallas, and this should be a high-scoring game. The one caveat there, I guess it could be 2 caveats, and even when it hurts my point, I do like to give you guys all the information, right? This Knicks defense has been great. Like, overall has been great in terms of points per game allowed, and Dallas's offense has just been kind of like mediocre. Like, they're not the 130 plus team right now. Their last 3 games, 117, 118, 119, very consistent, averaging 118. So we need a little bit more from them, because if I think they're going to win by 5 and just score like 120, you know, we're looking at a 120 to 115 game. Yes, it's still an over, but it's kind of cutting it close, right? I'll still take the over. Now, from a player prop perspective, so Jalen Brunson potentially not playing, but I don't mind his under 2.5 3-pointers made. He's hit the under here in 5 straight games, and Dallas not a bad team at covering the point guard when it comes to 3-pointers made. Not the best team when it comes to covering the 3-point line, though, so that could keep us off it. But a player prop that I really like, and it's kind of a weird one, and I know you guys hate when I take 3-pointers made, and I might have to just X these out soon, because we have been like such 50-50 on these 3-point made props. But Josh Green of the Dallas Mavericks here, I don't mind his over 1.5 3-pointers made. His last 10 years, hit it in 9 of his last 10. There's been games where he's hit 4 3-pointers made. And he's shooting nearly 50% from 3. Actually, in his last 5 here, this is including a game in which he went 0 for, I think it was like 0 for 3. In his last 5, including that 0 for 3 game, he's still averaging a 43% clip from beyond the arc. And all he does is sit in the corner and make these, or shoot these threes, right? From his three perspective. He's a corner three shooter. The Knicks over the last 10 have been very good at covering the above to break threes, mediocre in covering the corner threes. So if Luka and Kyrie play, those guys get into the paint, kick out to Green here, and he shoots a green bean. All right, so give me the over 1.5 3-pointers made for Josh Green. Memphis taking on Chicago. This should be a like down and dirty type of a game. Look at that total sitting at 214. I still don't mind the over here. I've seen this bump all the way up to 215.5 since recording. So yeah, if we can catch it at 214, I really don't mind it. Not that I think it's going to be a high scoring game, but like you're telling me you couldn't see a 109 to I don't know 105 type of a game and get right there. Just in terms of whoever you think is going to win. Like it could be a messy game and still look at that over. Now, I will say Memphis at home this year, they've covered just 1/4 of over, so 75% to the under this season. But yeah, this is a game that's kind of like, all right, do we really love it? No. I'm going to lean Chicago because I do think that they're obviously the better team. They're healthier. But even when I say healthier, like you look at their injury report, Caruso's probable, Kobe White's probable. Like maybe this is a spot where they're like, yeah, we don't need to really play everybody. But Memphis's injury report is like reading the damn dictionary. You know what I mean? Every letter, every word. It's crazy how long that thing is. So yeah, I'm going to lean towards Chicago in this spot. Total sitting at 214. Like I said, slight lean towards the over. A player prop I don't mind here. And it could be something that we cut up, like I kind of said, diversifying the player. I could look at Nikola Vucevic. By the way, trade deadline, Jokic to the Bulls. But Nikola Vucevic, under 15.5 rebounds plus assists. Also don't mind his under 3.5 assists. So the reason I don't mind his, or the reason I like his under 15.5 rebounds plus assists, because I don't see him getting many assists tonight. So that means he'd have to get a boatload of rebounds to be able to catch this. Now, he's capable of getting a bunch of rebounds. I get that. He's hit this over with rebounds alone this season. But I don't necessarily see Vucevic needing to really mix it up. I think that this could be a game where slow pace, like nothing, there's not that many opportunities for him. And right now he's already averaging 15.9 rebound chances per game. He's grabbing 66% of those over his last 10 games here, getting 10 rebounds per game. But if there's not that many chances and he still grabs 66% of them, say he gets 12 rebound chances, 66% of those, or 60% of those, he's going to get, I guess you could say 8-9 rebounds maximum. And if I think he's going to get under 3.5 assists, we're looking at a guy that should finish right around the 11, 12, 13, maybe 14 mark. So give me his under 15.5, and it's not really knocking him, right? I just don't think that they're going to need him to be that big brute down low in this game and get a bunch of boards. And then the assists, like I said, I just don't think there's going to be volume there. As weird as it is, Memphis has actually been good at preventing assists to the big man position. Maybe that's because if Vucevic gets it down low, he should be able to turn around and score, right? Like this isn't the best interior defense for the Memphis Grizzlies as of right now. Jaren Jackson Jr. is on the injury report. He's a game-time decision, but even if he plays, like I'm not necessarily thinking that it leads to a bunch of assists for Vucevic, because Vucevic should still kind of have the size on him, not the athleticism, but sort of that bulkiness. So I do think that, we could see Vucevic in spots where he would turn around and pass. I think he's going to just turn his back, 2 dribbles, boom, boom, turn around, hook shot, score. So that's kind of where I'm leaning here. It's not like I'm, like I said, ragging on Vucevic. I just don't think assists are going to be part of his repertoire tonight. And I don't think he's going to have that many rebound chances per se. All right, if you guys have been watching this channel for a while here and you've been liking the content and thinking about how you can support what we're doing here, head over to fademe.store, guys. We have a bunch of new products over there. These are some of my favorite ones that we've put out, part of a graffiti collection that we're working on. But this Scared Money hoodie and t-shirt both have become bestsellers in just about the week that they've been live. Definitely one of the cooler, just more, I guess, bright, vibrant shirts that we've put out here. Scared money, don't make money. It's a great mantra for sports betting. And what this shop does is pretty much, shines the fun light on sports betting, aka the name Fade Me, right? We do have the Gambler the collection, the Bounce Back. We have a bunch of stuff over there, guys. If you do want to support what we're doing here and pick up some good merch at the same time, we have tons of it over on Fade Me, and we're not stopping here. Shout out to everyone as of late who has picked up some merch. We've gotten a bunch of orders, so thank you guys very much for this is going to sound corny as all hell, but turning the dream of that sports brand into a reality. Like, think about it. We're selling something that says Fade Me me on it, which is kind of like a sports betting terms negative connotation, like do the opposite of me, right? But that's where we're having the fun with it. And it also kind of arrived from the idea of when we first started publishing our picks here online, people would be like, these picks stink, we'd be winning. And then I just start responding to people, go ahead, fade me. Like, see if I care. I'm telling you what I'm doing. If you want to fade me, go ahead. So there was the inspo for the store. But if you do want to support us, head over to fademe.store, guys. That link is going to be in the pinned comment. Fademe.store. Pick up some great merch and support us and our growth here as we continue to grind and grow. We're beating the sun. The sun's not even up yet, and we're out here making an NBA video. So go ahead and check out fademe.store. All right, we got Milwaukee taking on the T-Wolves here. Milwaukee 1-point favorites. Total sitting at 228.5. Injury report decently long for the Bucks here. Not that I think any of these guys are going to necessarily get traded, but Cam Payne probable, Chris Middleton ruled out, Brook Lopez probable, Jay Crowder probable, Damian Lillard questionable, Giannis probable. So a lot of guys mentioned on that injury report. Like I said, I don't know if some of those guys like Payne, Middleton, Belo, Crowder are potential trades. I don't really envision that necessarily happening. But anytime someone's out, I guess use this game as an example. So not using these guys specifically, but this game as an example, anytime some of these guys are listed as out or questionable or anything like that, it's kind of like, what's the win horse? You know what I mean? Like, you never know in this league. This league is crazy. No major injuries on the Minnesota side of things. In terms of a spread pick here, I don't mind looking at Milwaukee, and you're probably like, what? In fact, I'll sound the psycho alert alarm. I think it warrants it to some degree. I'm probably being a psycho in this game. If you made it this far in the video, go ahead and comment psycho. Let me know that you made it this far and that you're not a guppy, because people that make it this far in the video, I truly cherish and appreciate. The people that comment, they're guppies, right? The people that comment that are like, hey, just list your picks in the comments. It's like, well, one, in the first 10 seconds of the video, I said I'd do that, but just watch the video. You know what I mean? We're trying to put on a show here as much as we are giving, picks. But nonetheless, comment psycho if you made it this far. I think that this could be a good spot for Milwaukee. They have won the last couple meetings, and they covered, neither one of which this season. They played, last time they played was December 30th of 2022. But Milwaukee's kind of, I don't want to say due for a win, but they had a pretty rough road trip. They went 1-4 on their road trip, even losing to Portland in the middle of that. Now they're finally at home. They have a good spot here against Minnesota. They have a back-to-back situation tomorrow, but it's against Charlotte, so I doubt that they're going to play Giannis, or they're going to sit Giannis tonight to keep him for tomorrow, right? So Lillard, Giannis, if that's the reason they're questionable, probable because of the back-to-back, I do think it's probably going to be this front end that they end up playing. And Minnesota, you can't really say that they're playing great basketball either, right? Losing to Chicago in double OT or whatever, OT last game, we were on the wrong side of that one. They were up by like 20 in that game. So if Chicago can come back and beat them, I think the Bucks are just looking for a win. They're finally at home. They got passed in the East by the Cavs. Like, there should be a fire under this ass of Milwaukee, right? But we want to wait out the injury report. If some guys are going to get moved or they're going to make moves, they already, replace the coach, like, who knows? Like, this is a Milwaukee team that, not that they should be or are desperate, but they almost could be desperate in that locker room, like trying to get back on track. They're not playing their best basketball. I mean, they're 33-18. You might be thinking, oh, that's pretty good, right? But against the spread, not that they care, but 19-31-1 against the spread, huh? So it's kind of like, okay, well, where are they? And this could be a good statement spot for them. All right, we've lost a bunch on the road. Now all of a sudden, Minnesota, a regarded good team, second in the West, comes into our building. Let's smack them in the face. So give me Milwaukee in this one. That was a very long rant on kind of like a theoretical reason why Milwaukee should win. So apologies there, but it just really is where I am on this game. In terms of a total, 228.5. I think that this game turns into when it gets late. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a first half over, full-time under. So I'm going to lean towards the under in this spot. I do think late in the game, this game kind of slows down. A player prop here. Karl Anthony Towns, I'm not minding his threes made in this spot. The problem is his line's up to 2.5, but it's for plus money, so that's why I would consider it. This is a Milwaukee team that does not cover the above the break three very well. It's definitely a defensive weakness in there. And last time he played Milwaukee, which again was in 2022, he had 3 threes made. So slight lean towards that one. If it wasn't plus money, I wouldn't be considering it, but it's plus money. And he hit 7 threes last game. Phoenix taking on Utah. Phoenix right now 6.5 point favorites. Total sitting at 243.5. This opened at 6.5. The books have kept it at 6.5 here. I'd like to see some line movement before feeling confident about this one, just seeing which direction, you know, the books are afraid of, I guess, in a sense. I'm going to lean towards Phoenix at home. It's a lot of points delay, so I don't know if it becomes a final play. I think it's going to be a very good game, but this is a Phoenix team now has covered 2 straight games. They beat Milwaukee, and they just kind of got in a rant why I do think Milwaukee's better than they're playing, but they beat Milwaukee by like 8 points or 9 points, whatever it was. They've won 4 of the last 5 games, covered in 4 of the last 5. Utah playing good basketball, I get it. They beat Milwaukee by 1,000,000, so it's like, use them as an example. Fine, yes, I get it. But for whatever reason, I do think that this is a good matchup for Phoenix. Now, this game went to OT. Was it OT or double? It went to extra time last time they played, which was mid-November. But the game before that, the Suns had won. And then I think they played one other time. I don't even know who won that game. But nonetheless, recent history, the Suns have been able to get the edge here on the Jazz. And they're at home here. The Jazz on the road on the season. I know it's not the same as of late because this Jazz team is definitely playing better. But this has been a story of Jazz are great at home and not so great on the road, and it's kind of been like that for a while. So I'm looking at Phoenix here, though they're not the best home team. I'm kind of fading the Jazz on the road here. But like I said, if you're on the Jazz, I'm not trying to talk you off it. I just think it's a good spot for Phoenix. Total sitting at 243.5 seems a little bit too high for me. But I also look at this and say, okay, well, there's got to be a reason why that total is so high, right? And the Suns actually have been cashing this. They've cashed that in 3 of their last 4. And I think if you give Utah the green light to run and gun and play with fast pace, they will. So I'll lean towards the over 243.5 in this spot. Player props that I'm looking at, so one that you just can't ignore right now is John Collins over points plus rebounds. He's hit it in 8 straight games, 9 of his last 10 games in which he's hitting this in just points alone, which is crazy. And his last 3 games all this season against the Suns, he's hit the over here, and those were in, I guess you could say, in inconsistent minutes, like 28, 35, then 43. If he goes and plays, you know, like we could say he has been, right? Say he plays his normal minute allotment, which is 27 minutes. If he plays 27 minutes on the year, he's been cashing this plenty. 28 or more minutes. He's hit this in 88% of games. So I like John Collins here. The one concern is that it's becoming pretty chalky and pretty public, and the books are still like, sure, we'll give you this line. You know what I mean? But I like the matchup. You can make the argument that, yeah, well, he's starting at center, and Yusuf Nurkic is a little bit bigger than him, ain't he? But Collins is more mobile. He's going to be able to shoot a little bit more than Nurkic here. He's made a 3, and I think it's like 4 straight games, which I don't mind looking at his threes numbers, but it's super juiced, so not really worth taking it. But yeah, I just think that he could be a little bit quicker and more agile than Nurkic, so he might be able to get some buckets on him tonight. So I don't really mind it. Another spot that I like is looking at potentially Devin Booker. Don't know what his line is yet. I don't have it available yet, but I like him in the mid-range game tonight against his team, and Bradley Beal's on the injury report. If Beal is out, he's questionable, but if he's out, this could be a lot more points for D-Book, right? So, yeah. That's the way I'm leaning in this game. But like I said, if you're on the opposite side and you like Utah tonight, it's kind of, even if you like the under too, I could be like, yeah, I kind of get it. Like, I think it's a pretty sharply pegged game by Vegas and the sports books. Next up, we got the Lakers taking on the Nuggets, and at first glance, you could be like, wow, why are we not just hammering the Nuggets here? -3.5 points, one of the best teams in the league against, I guess what you can call an inconsistent team, but this Lakers team's playing good basketball. They beat the Celtics, they beat the Knicks, and then I guess you give them credit for beating Charlotte. I don't know if we can give them too much credit there, but Denver, yes, they're like a good team, but that's at home, right? We've said all along how much this team has struggled on the road. They could be without KCP tonight, which is a huge blow to the defense, honestly. But speaking of injuries, like talk about a spot in which we got to monitor for trades. D'Angelo Russell is on the injury report. There's been plenty of rumors that he could be on his way out. Who knows? But we have AD, LeBron, and D'Angelo Russell all on the injury report. LeBron and AD always on the injury report, so expect them to play, especially against Denver, right? But just want to throw that out there that it could be a spot in which D'Angelo Russell doesn't suit up, because why, right? In terms of what we're looking at for either one of these teams in what to look ahead, Denver does, they are on the front half of a back-to-back, as are the Lakers here. Denver's playing Sacramento, and the Lakers playing New Orleans, so definitely 2 like worthy opponents to look forward to. but neither of which are probably looking forward to those games as much as they are this game. So I expect Anthony Davis and LeBron to get the go here. But like I said, this Denver team has not been great on the road. This year, they've covered just 36% of games on the road. And I'm taking that to the bank. I'm gonna go ahead and lean towards the Lakers. Do I have the cojones to bet against the Nuggets with an inconsistent Lakers? Potentially not, okay? So don't necessarily expect this to be in the pin comment, especially when you look at the history between these two teams. The last 6 meetings here, Denver's covered 4 of those, and they've won all of them. They've covered the last 2 in LA as well, but only one of those games was this season. It was October 24th, so, right in the beginning of the year there. The Denver wins 119-107. So, Denver was a better team on the road than, 2 years ago, last year as well, than they are this year. So don't want to put too much weight into it, but for what it's worth, Denver has dominated the matchup here head-to-head. In terms of a total, 231, I look at this game, and I can't help but see transition happening, just because, again, I kind of think the Lakers stick in this game, but Denver, the slowest team in the league over the last 10 games. So I think that's where I give Denver the edge, that they'll slow this game down a little bit. So I look at this game immediately, and I'm like, obviously the Lakers are going to run. That's how they're going to beat Denver, right? But maybe LeBron and AD will just LeBron and AD, and meaning they could do whatever they want. If it's transition, half court, anything, if those two guys care enough, they're probably the best dynamic duo in the NBA. It's a matter of caring for these games. So I'll lean towards the under because it is such a high number, 231, for what Denver has been doing. They've hit the under in 9 straight games to that line. The Lakers have hit the over in 8 of their last 10. So I think that Denver controls the pace, but the Lakers make it a game and cover the line. That is something I rarely do. Usually, the team that's going to cover and kind of control the game, I give the pace edge to. But nonetheless, that's what I'm looking at. In terms of a player prop here, I do think that this could be a good Jamal Murray night. He's been absolutely up and down, but he likes the mid-range jumper, taking about 5 of those per game, shooting 47% from the mid-range. The Lakers, it's definitely a weakness of theirs. They're allowing a 50% field goal percentage over their last 10 to mid-range jump shots. 50%. That means you could shoot 100 times and make 50 of them. If you don't know how math works, that's a damn high rate. So, yeah, I like Jamal Murray in this spot. Right now, I'm looking at his over 22.5 points. I may ladder it up to about 20, maybe 24.5 for plus money. So 22.5, 23.5, 24.5. Keep an eye on the pinned comment. It definitely could be a spot in which I want to, exploit. I think that there's some edge there. All right, we saved the best game for last. Right? We got the Blazers taking on the Pistons in, what should be an NBA Finals preview. -6.5, we got the Blazers favored at home. Total sitting at, right now, 29.5. This is a game that I don't think I'm going to be betting, but if I do, I don't mind taking a peek at the Blazers. They're at home. This Pistons team, yes, they've been covering machine, and I get it, and blah, 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 but, I don't think that really continues. Like, this is a Pistons team that is still really bad, and the Blazers have worked the Pistons, over their sort of head-to-head history here. They played in early November as well, and the Blazers won 110-101, covering this line in Detroit. Again, I don't think this becomes a final play, but I did just want to throw out there that if we were to make a play on it, it's going to be the Blazers. Now, that's a high number for the Blazers. Like, I doubt that, they've even covered that. Let's see if I can look at, yeah, they've only covered 6.5 points once in their last 10 games, which makes a little bit of sense. And who was that against? We don't even have this up. That was against Philadelphia, weirdly enough, but obviously a Joel Embiid-led team. Nonetheless, guys, I think that this is just a kind of a trash game. Total sitting at 229. I'll go ahead and lean. You could tell I'm just like thinking about it in my head, right? I'll lean towards the under because I think if the Trailblazers win this game, I think that they just kind of slow it down and don't let Detroit put points up on the board. But guys, it's gonna wrap. No player props in that game, by the way. That's gonna wrap for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, make sure you guys are hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. Plenty more to come. I keep telling you guys and keep teasing that, but we have a lot more content coming. I'll make like a life update video pretty soon, but we're gonna have a lot more free time. It's no secret, but we are gonna have a lot more free time coming up pretty damn soon at the end of this month. So very excited for that. And yeah, we'll go ahead and close up shop for today. Hope you guys did enjoy, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. All right, peace out.